Right, welcome to Rob's Spiritually Crusty vlog. Yeah. So in the wake of this current transition that I'm going through from, well, if you look back at my first videos, from drug addict, emotional breakdown, work crumbling, family problems, not being able to leave the house, being catatonic, um, years of trapped in the cycle of fear, um, relapse, um, lots of deviant. If you look back at the first video I did, the little introduction, um, this is a carry on from that. So I've decided to start a vlog. Now, please, if it resonates with you, please like and subscribe, because I do all this at home on my phone. You know, there's no professional operation. So it'd be nice to just get a little bit of feedback from people. So a couple of months ago, this huge spiritual transformation happened for me, and I was at a loss to understand what was going on. All I know is that all these things had been removed from my life, so I wasn't scared anymore. I wasn't worried about money anymore. I quit my job, just sat at home, and I felt like a bit of an empty shell. And then I got talking to a few people, and it appeared that I'd had a bit of a spiritual awakening. Now, that spiritual awakening kind of manifested itself in the fact that I wasn't bothered about stuff anymore. The fear had gone, the fear had been lifted. So I wasn't bothered about how much money I had, how much work I had, what I had to tell people, what people were going to think of me, what I thought of myself. Um, this stuff was just erased from the equation. And I thought, Jesus Christ, what am I going to do now when this invisible voice was saying to me, do what you really want to do. Do what you really want to do. And I didn't know what I wanted to do. I had no idea what I wanted to do. So I got in touch with a mate of mine who's in recovery from drug addiction, like me. And he said, "Oh, Rob, you got to come down and see me. You know, I found this different way of life." And I thought, but I went anyway. I went to see him. This guy is as mad as a box of frogs in the most amazing way, right? And he said, "You won't believe it. This has happened, that's happened. Everything's changed. Everything's totally changed. I don't know what I can do about it. I don't know, I'm just doing this and I've got all these plans and I want to do all this stuff." And his energy was absolutely amazing. And he gave me this. This is the first thing I come across. Now, this is a book by a guy called Dr. Joe Dispenza. It's called Becoming Supernatural. Now, as you can see, I'm only a third of the way through. But it's written in a way that's very easy to follow. It's very easy to understand. It's a little bit out there at first. It's a little bit out there, but it really easy to understand and really easy to follow. And in the start of this book, it was explaining the same story as me, where I was and what happened and where I am now. And it happened to quite a few people. Seemingly there's this huge global awakening going on. And that's kind of what I want to talk about in this vlog. But anyway, back to the point. So I started reading this book and I was listening to what my friend was saying. He said, "Why don't you come down to my house a little bit?" He said, "I'm starting some yoga. We're getting a teacher down doing some yoga. Try some of these meditations." Now, I'd done meditating before. When I first got into recovery from drugs, I tried it. And it was nice. Never tried yoga before. So I'm kind of at a point, no work, no money. Family don't know what's going on because I've been on my ass for months, and all of a sudden I'm acting differently. So I thought, what have I got to lose? So I started doing a bit of yoga, and honestly, the yoga was an eye opener, because the type of yoga that I'm kind of into, it's all about channeling this energy, and this energy. Cat, you're not allowed to sit on the settee. This is my cat. He's not allowed to sit on the settee. Right, so it's all about channeling this energy, and by channeling this energy, it then strengthens you in changing yourself. Everything from, any bad habits you might have, your diet, the way you eat. And you know what? Old me were really skeptical of all this stuff, so I just threw myself in. I started doing loads of yoga. I started doing it at home. I started learning about it. I started putting little classes together so I can teach it. I then got in touch with a few people who do other spiritual stuff like Reiki. So I'm kind of just in the process of going to do my Reiki level 1. It's just another way of using this divine energy that seems to be flowing around us that a lot of us are blind to. Now, for some people watching this, you might think this guy's off his rocker. I know others, you'll totally identify with it. Even if you haven't experienced it yet, you'll identify with it because there is this global kind of awakening going on into this spiritual consciousness that a lot of the time the human race isn't tapping into. Now, seemingly, the crisis that's just happened around COVID, this isn't my story, but I know this has happened to other people. The crisis that's happened around the lockdown and COVID caused a lot of people to question what was going on in the world. So the governmental impacts, the kind of global crisis that's going on everywhere, the global economy, the kind of political agendas for all these political parties in different countries. People started to question all this. And it opened a lot of people up to new possibilities and new ideas and new ways of thinking. So quite a few of the people that I've met in the last few months found their way to this path just because something didn't feel right in the world. And I mean, it's not hard to see that when you look at the COVID stuff, you look at what's going on in Ukraine, you look at the crisis in the Middle East, you look at the crisis in third world Africa, you look at all this stuff, there's something not quite right. You know, when somebody like Elon Musk is saying, I'm willing to give 7 billion of my own money if you can prove to me where this money's going to go, and nobody can prove to him where the money's going to go. Now, Elon Musk's quite a spiritual guy. He's very rich, don't get me wrong, he seems a bit odd, but he's quite a nice guy and he's quite spiritual about stuff. And if he said, I'll give you this money if it'll cure the world, and then nobody can turn around and prove to him where the money's going to go. Nobody wants to do that. So there's the kind of all this hidden stuff going on. Anyway, so all these things have awoken some people up to a different way of thinking and feeling about it. And I got into reading about the 3D reality that for the most part we live in as human beings. So the 3D reality it's a very I'll lose my words when I'm doing stuff like this. We're living in a very kind of a construct that's built around stuff, a material construct that's built around stuff. So whether it's built around money, items, property, cars, relationships, work, it's built around this stuff, and it fills us with fear and trepidation of what's happening next. So are we earning enough? Is our car good enough? Look at the neighbour's new car. What clothes am I wearing? What am I seeing on TV every day? What's the news saying every day? Where am I going to go buy my clothes from? What are my kids going to do? What's this person going to think of me? How am I going to react in that situation? I've got to get here by this time, or else people will think that. Just all this stuff, it's all real material stuff. And that's the three-dimensional reality that most people live in. And you know what? It zaps you. On an emotional level, emotional and physical level, it brings a lot of people to the knees. Now, I've been lucky that it did it to me. It brought me to my knees. The 3D reality, the 3D kind of concept brought me to my knees. I was in that much pain, I had a great little business going, loads of work, money coming in, but the pressure and stress and anxiety related to not having enough, not being enough, drove me over the edge to almost suicide. So I kind of overnight stepped from a 3D reality into a 4D reality, which is a much more spiritual way of thinking. So you're still plagued by doubt or skepticism, or the belief that this might be a little odd. But then again, you're also blessed with gratitude for where your life's at and forgiveness for yourself and for other people. And so that's 4D, and a lot of people live between 3 and 4D. They do a little bit where they're feeling real good about themselves, and then they slip back into that material world. But what's happening for me is this new 5-dimensional life, this real spiritual life, is shining itself at the end of this tunnel I'm in. And the darkness of the tunnel I was in, it's changed now, and it's more light and love. And I think I'm kind of moving from 4 to 5. So this reality is, stuff ain't bothering me anymore. I'm going out in the world, and I'm not worried about what people are thinking of me or what I'm wearing or the car. And I have got no money. I'm kind of doing odds and sods at my mate's house just for a bit of pocket money so I can buy my family some shopping. And that's okay. Do you know what I mean? The universe is providing me what I need to get by on a daily basis. I could go out. I've got loads of work. I've got hundreds of clients. But do you know what? Do I want to do that? Because actually, when I sit and meditate and think about it, what I want to do is I want to be a yoga teacher. I want to teach people about meditation. I want to open people's eyes to this global phenomenon that seems to be going on. And that's all 5G related. It feels nice every day. I mean, in 6 weeks, I think I had one afternoon when I slipped back into all kinds of thinking. Now, this is what this guy talks about. I was a drug addict, and kind of I'm a drug addict. Not using drugs now, but I'm a drug addict. So my brain has learned to work in a certain way. So for 20 years, I took heroin. So every day I got up and I thought of heroin, and I thought about ways of getting heroin, and I thought how I could get heroin, and I went to get the heroin, and I took the heroin, and then as soon as I did it, I was straight back onto the roundabout of thinking about all this stuff. And life's no different. So I was getting up in the morning, clean, and thinking, right, I've got to go to work, I've got to earn this money, I've got to get these materials. Oh God, I feel really stressed, I feel really anxious. And I did that for years. So my brain then became addicted to the same type of chemical imbalance that was going on when I was a drug addict. But I was in normal waking life. I wasn't subdued by anything. But my brain had got into these patterns of thinking and feeling and behaving that I thought were normal. And we're in it. That's the 3D reality. That is the 3D reality that we're all talking about. Or that constant cycle of the same thing happening over and over again. And then every now and again we get a break. We might go on holiday. We might go shopping and we think, yeah, everything's great, we're on holiday. And then we're straight back into it again. So all that positivity is wasted. And keeping the positivity going when you're in that is so difficult. It's really difficult to do. So that's what this guy talks about. So I'd got into a pattern of thinking, feeling and behaving clean in a normal world with a normal job and a normal family and a normal life and normal bills and everything else. But it wasn't working for me. It wasn't working to the point where suicide seemed like a really good option. That's not normal. That's not the right way to think about life. Now, I'm not suggesting everybody takes themselves to that point. But everybody I speak to seems to struggle, paying the bills. Yeah, even if it's just you go out somewhere and everybody's talking about the war in Ukraine. How do you know? Because you've seen it on the news. How do you know that what's been presented on the news is actually real anyway? We take it for granted that all this really negative stuff that's been pushed by the media, pushed by politicians, pushed by governments around the world. But what if it's just to hold us down and keep us down and tie us down so we don't move on? We don't feel better. There's this new thing, so becoming self-sufficient. So solar power, water power, divining for your own water. My mate's he's got a load of solar panels coming. He's just dug a well in his back garden. He's growing his own produce. Nobody wants us to do that. Nobody wants us to do that. Nobody wants me to stop work because who's going to get my money? If I stop work, where's the tax going to go? How is that going to work? I just, for a split second then, felt myself being really negative and derogatory towards stuff. And that's not what this 5-dimensional thinking's about. Yeah, this stuff's going on. It is. We can turn a blind eye. I can turn a blind eye to it all I want, but it doesn't mean that there's a lot of stuff going on in the world. But just the feeling that I got inside. A friend gave me these this marler that I put on my wrist. And when it sounds really odd, when I start feeling negative, I can feel it getting heavy on my arm. it's a really difficult thing to explain. So what I'm going to do is, over the next few weeks, I'm going to create some of these videos, and I'm going to incorporate some little interviews with a few people that are on a similar path to me. And I'm also going to speak to people who are on a different path to me, and just compare how their lives are. I've been doing a lot of meditation and a lot of looking into spiritual energies, tones and frequencies that promote healing and promote well-being and promote spirituality. And for somebody, if you're watching this and you're a bit of a layman, you might think this guy's a little bit too out there. I promise you, 3 months ago, I was just a normal guy. I had a job. I'm a plumber. You know, I'm from Bradford. There wasn't all special and amazing about me. I struggled in life, and I have done for a long time. And I've heard the school of thought that says, "Oh, that poor bastard just wants to believe in something." You're right. I do just want to believe in something. But just what if that something I'm believing in is tangible? Just what if it is? Because it feels it. It feels tangible. I mean, you know, the coincidences and deja vus we talk about in life. Well, it turns out that that's more spiritual than a lot of people would like to think it is. So, for the 3 times in the last week, I've picked up my phone. I've looked at my phone, and the time has been transitioning from 22:22 to 22:23. Now, months ago, me and my wife, we kept looking at his phone. It said 22:22 on it. It was, for me, it were a constant thing. And there's these things called angel numbers, and a little bit like tarot. You think, oh, a little bit like tarot cards. Yeah, very similar. So I googled what 22:22 meant, and it meant that I was on a journey, and that journey was to find spiritual enlightenment, and that I had a lot of gifts to offer, and that I had a really good heart, and all these things. And I just thought, yeah, there's some truth in that. And then like I say, 3 times in last week, I've looked at my phone. It's been transitioning from 22:22 to 22:23. So out of curiosity, I looked at what 22:23 meant, and it meant a transition between kind of real life and a spiritual life, and that's what's happening. That's what you're going through. You're going through this transition to become a more enlightened being, a higher spirit being, a being with divine meaning. Much like the 3D, 4D, 5D stuff, is that just a coincidence? I don't think it is. I really don't think it's a coincidence. It sounds odd. And the fact that I'm on this transition, and I've seen the numbers click from 22 to 23 when I pick my phone up, you could say it's coincidence. I'm not saying it's coincidence. It's too powerful. There's too much in that for me. So anyway, I've explained what 3D, 4D, 5D means. Oh, and there's also the theory that the 3G, 4G, 5G on telephone masts is also a subliminal message for those of us that are now finding 3D, 4D, 5D. It's weird how this stuff kind of could say it's all conspiracy theories, but some of them, you look into it, and there's actually something tangible, something there that you can kind of focus on anyway. So this is my first proper vlog. I'm putting it out there. If you see it and watch it, put a comment on the bottom. I'm happy to interact with anybody about it. Look on my site, there's some links. I'm going to be putting some links on for my Instagram, for my Facebook. There's a TikTok link on there. I don't know. Somebody said do TikTok. I don't know why I'm doing TikTok. And like I said, I'm going to be getting in touch with a few friends and people that I know that are experiencing the same sort of thing, and doing some little interviews with them, maybe on Skype, and I'll put those on some of these vlogs. I'm also going to be adding content, some more meditation stuff, some wave-based kind of therapy music, you know, which include kind of alpha waves, beta, delta waves, really good for sleep. Theta waves, the theta waves are really good, kind of bringing spiritual energy to you. I'm going to be including some yoga videos and some little meditation videos. So how you can learn meditation yourself if you've never done it, and some really basic yoga stuff because someone's just starting out. And I'm going to be doing some chakra meditations. So your 5 chakras that you've got, and accompanied by a universal frequency, a divine universal frequency. So your root chakra, for example, which is your base one, which provides stability, that's accompanied by the frequency 396. And putting a meditation, a guided meditation together that talks you through what your root chakra is, what it does. It provides lots of nice affirmations for you, and with the tone, it's to build this spiritual energy you've got going inside. So, if you're into that stuff, like and subscribe my videos and look at my channel. It's small now, but I'm going to keep doing it. It's not, this isn't for monetization. I'm not getting any money from doing this. I'm sat at home in my living room with my phone. Just got my laptop out behind me because I'm going to start trying to edit some of the videos on a free package that I've just downloaded. There's no money going into this. This is done totally with humility and love. That's all I'm trying to carry out there. So this is Rob's spiritually crusty vlog. I thought that was quite catchy. And I'm going to try and get it to continue for a bit, because the more people that find this way of life, the better it'll be for everybody. Cheers. Oh, wait a minute, I should have a catchphrase. On YouTube, you're supposed to have a catchphrase. I think, hey up our kid. Hey up our kid, cheers for watching. That's a good catchphrase. That's my catchphrase. Hey up our kid, cheers for watching. Like and subscribe.